for tuning in today. As promised, we are going to continue with delving into the awesome legacy of a most powerful and most wise man, Dr. Myles Munroe. I like to read books that leave an impact and an impression upon my life and can add to my life, can water the fruits that are within me, that can help me to pursue life in a different way, in a meaningful way. I also like to read to learn. So many of us learn in different ways. We have different methods of learning. For me, reading is that avenue that I learn by very easily. So I did want to pick up with the readings. We're going to go ahead and start now. This is a book titled In Pursuit of Purpose, The Key to Personal Fulfillment, written by Dr. Myles Munroe. Also, I think it's worthy of noting that this recording is being done using my iPhone 5S. So for those of you who wonder about the sound, I know lately it hasn't been the best sound quality. I'm going to do a series of readings utilizing different methods, technical devices, electronic devices, and I'm trying to capture or get an idea of which one of these devices provides the absolute best sound. So, without further ado, here we are. We're going to read Chapter 1, In Pursuit of Purpose. The dedication to the human heart, to every individual given birth by destiny, to the one who finds life empty, aimless, and busy, but not effective. To you, the reader, for whom I desire a purposeful life characterized by effectiveness, efficiency, and fulfillment. To all who are oppressed by the ignorance of others, to every generation that seeks meaning and a reason for living, to all who are seeking for themselves. Acknowledgements. We are a sum total of what we have learned from all who have taught us, both great and small. I am grateful for the inspiration and wisdom of men and women of God, and for the transgenerational sources and roots of wisdom they have left me. I'm also grateful for the many members, friends, and colleagues at Bahamas Faith Ministries International whose faithfulness, prayers, and patience inspire me to continue to fulfill my purpose and potential. For the development and production of this book itself, I feel a deep sense of gratitude to my precious wife, Ruth, and our children, Charissa and Chiro Myles Jr., for their patience and support during my travels outside the home. You make it easier to fulfill God's will for my life. My father and mother, Matt and Louise Munroe, for their devotion to the Lord and to their children, and for their constant demonstration of love that inspired me to pursue the maximization of my potential. My dear friend and brother-in-law, Richard Pender, whose commitment to the work and the vision makes this project possible. Kathy Miller, my gifted and diligent editor and advisor, who shepherded the book from its early formless stage to its present form. And Marcia Blessing of Destiny Image, who patiently pursued me to keep to the schedule and meet the deadlines. The best friends in the ministry I can ever have, Turnell Nelson, Bertrill Baird, Peter Morgan, John Smith, Kingsley Fletcher, Fuchsia Pickett, Ezekiel Guti, Jerry Horner, Mensa Otabil, Cecil Lamb, and Ben Kinchlow for exposing my potential. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without a reason. Dr. Myles Munroe. For a Christian statesman and kingdom revolutionary who pursued purpose with all of his being, we want to honor him through this new edition of his classic message. Contents: in memory of Myles Munroe. Foreword, preface, introduction, Chapter 1, Understanding Purpose. Chapter 2, The Nature of Purpose. Chapter 3, The Principles of Purpose. Chapter 4, The Priority of Purpose. Chapter 5, Purpose and Time. Chapter 6, Purpose and Position. Chapter 7, Purpose and Vision. Chapter 8, The Benefits of Purpose. Chapter 9, The Source of Purpose. Chapter 10, The Perils of Purpose. Chapter 11, Purpose and Success. Chapter 12, A Word to the Third World. In memory of Myles Munroe, the well you drink from is the well that you think from, and eventually it is the well that you become. This is the first thought that comes to my mind as I think about the impact of Dr. Myles Munroe on my life. I first met Dr. Munroe when I was at best a floor lamp of diffused energy being pulled in a million different directions. I was purposeless, demotivated, and quickly becoming an annoying echo instead of an original voice. His prolific writing watered the garden of my mind and helped me understand that at times in life you have to be replanted into a new garden of thinking in order for your leaves to bloom. Our relationship was developed over a 20-year period through watching him in action, breaking bread, and talking to him over the phone. I will never forget one of lengthy conversations was during a business trip to the Bahamas. I was conducting a workshop for the staff at the Atlantis Resort, and Dr. Munroe received a phone call from the vice president of the Atlantis Resort stating that I sounded just like him and asking if he knew me. Well, I called him later on, and he told me how proud he was and that I must start expanding globally. Dr. Munroe was a dimensional thinker. He understood that within every brain there is a mind. Within every mind there is a mental model. Within every mental model there is a shaper. And within every shaper there is an agenda. Dr. Munroe's agenda was simple. Be purposeful about the kingdom of God. I will never forget attending the celebration of life service for the late Oral Roberts in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with my pastor, Dr. Mark Sharona. He said after the funeral he would be having dinner with Dr. Myles Munroe, Apostle Guillermo Maldonado, and Marilyn Hickey. Well, during dinner, I sat watching these generals as they shared their insights and God-inspired revelations. However, when Dr. Munroe started talking, you could hear a pin drop and no one moved. He shared from a deep well of biblical wisdom with an enlightened global worldview. That was music to my ears. I said to myself, wow, one day that's what I'm going to do. Our last time together was when one of Dr. Munroe's best friends, Bob Harrison of Tulsa, Oklahoma, invited me to speak at his annual Increase conference in California. For the first time, I was sharing the stage with Dr. Munroe. I was nervous and intimidated. Somehow, I got through the 45-minute presentation. Dr. Munroe was the closing speaker, and when he finished his remarks, he felt led to pray for a few people. I had been in the back minding my business, but somehow I ended up on that front of the room. And Dr. Munroe spoke a prophetic word to me in front of 500 pastors and leaders from around the world. It was captured on video, and I often look at it to remind me of my divine purpose. He was indeed the purpose whisperer, and I am running to fulfill my kingdom mandate. I am forever grateful to God for allowing me to live and witness the brilliance of Dr. Myles Munroe. Simon T. Bailey, author of Shift Your Brilliance, Harness the Power of You, Incorporated. Forward. Who am I? Why am I here? These questions are among the oldest put forth by honest men and women who are seeking answers to the age-old question, what is life about? It is an unfortunate truth that many people live with a quiet desperation, and some die plagued by the vague uneasiness that somehow they have missed it. Others wander aimlessly, few purposefully, attempting to solve the puzzle posed by life. Many Christians have proclaimed that salvation is the be-all and end-all of life here. Salvation is certainly the single most important element in time and eternity, but there are many truly saved Christians who feel unfulfilled even as they agonize, fast, and pray in an attempt to salve the nagging sense that there is something more to life. Yes, they know Jesus. Yes, many have been filled with the Holy Spirit. Still, the great majority wonder, what lies beyond salvation and the baptism of the Spirit? In Pursuit of Purpose goes a long way toward answering these questions. No single book except the Bible can answer all your questions, but drawing from the wellspring of divine revelation, life experience, and intelligent scholarship, Dr. Myles Munroe has fashioned a compass that can focus you on the path toward fulfillment, while providing the answer to the all-encompassing question, why am I here? You have not picked up this book by accident. You haven't wandered here aimlessly. There is a method to this journey, and a solution may be at hand. Perhaps you will find in these pages what you have been seeking for years. Purpose. Ben Kinchlow, The 700 Club, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Preface. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without a reason. It is dangerous to be alive and not know why you were given life. One of the most frustrating experiences is to have time but not know why. From the beginning of humankind's history as we know it, humanity has been grappling with the age-old questions. Why am I here? What is the reason for my existence? What is the meaning of my life? Is there a reason for the universe, the creation, and humankind? These questions are universal. They lurk deep within the secret chambers of every human being on earth, regardless of their race, color, ethnic heritage, socioeconomic status, or nationality. Philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and others throughout the ages have attempted to explore these seemingly elusive questions. For the most part, their efforts have ended in more questions than answers. Conscious or unconscious, admitted or unadmitted, this internal passion is what motivates and drives every human being, either directly or indirectly. It directs decisions, controls behavior, and dictates responses to the environment. The deepest craving of the human spirit is to find a sense of significance and relevance. The search for relevance in life is the ultimate pursuit of humankind. This need for significance is the cause of great tragedies. Many suicides and attempted suicides owe their manifestation to this compelling need. Many mass murderers and serial killers confess the relationship of their antisocial behavior to their need to feel important or to experience a sense of self-worth. This passion for relevance and a sense of significance makes one race or ethnic group elevate itself above another. It also gives birth to prejudice and causes the fabrication of erroneous perceptions that result in grave injustices and the conception of abominable dreams and inhumane behavior. It also gives birth to tyrants and dictators who easily sacrifice the sacredness of human life and dignity for a temporary sense of significance. This desperate desire to feel important and relevant to one's existence also causes the sacrifice of common sense, good judgment, moral standards, and basic human values. Many individuals have sacrificed excellent reputations and years of character building lifestyles for the sake of advancement to a desired position or a place of recognition and fame in their society or workplace so they could feel important and worthwhile. This passion for a sense of significance and meaning in life is also the fuel for most capitalist and progressive economies. There are millions of individuals who sacrifice their families, friends, and convictions in the attempt to gain a sense of significance. Accumulating status symbols and material possessions, they seek a position of importance and meaning. In essence, this deep desire and drive for a sense of importance, significance, and relevance is the cause and the motivator of all human behavior and conflict. This passion for significance knows no boundaries. Rich and poor are victims of its power. King and peasant suffer under its rule. Is this passion for a meaningful life a negative craving? Absolutely not. This yearning for relevance and significance is evidence of an internal vacuum in the nature of humankind that needs to be filled. This age-old passion is the pursuit of purpose, a relentless reaching for a reason for the gift of life. Remember, purpose is the only source of individual and corporate fulfillment. In Pursuit of Purpose was written as a result of my long pursuit and ultimate discovery of my purpose in life. I have come to realize the fundamental nature of this search for every man, woman, youth, and child has set forth some of the essential principles, precepts, and concepts that you must understand as you embark or continue on your own journey of discovering your purpose. Join me on a journey that I know you will enjoy. It will make you ask yourself some deep, searching questions. It will challenge your resolve, and it will encourage you to check your definitions of life, success, and effectiveness. Come, let us begin our pursuit of purpose. Introduction. Let me go. Please let me die, sobbed the frail old gentleman as the strong young swimmer struggled against the boisterous waves of the open ocean. Just a few more minutes, sir, and I will have you safely to shore, replied the young man, gasping for every breath. Finally, they made it to the beach, and both fell, desperately exhausted, onto the sand. "Why did you save me?" cried the angry 76-year-old man. "Why didn't you let me die? Your good deed is the curse of my existence." Startled by these words, the young man looked down at the older man who had nearly drowned. As he panted from the heroic effort of rescuing the victim from the violent waves, he shook his head, revealing the shock and the mystification that filled his mind. Winston had known Mr. Cambridge for 20 years. He had always admired the hard-working businessman for his success. To him, Mr. Cambridge was a role model that embodied all he hoped to be someday. Having worked all his life to achieve the status of being the wealthiest man in the city, Mr. Cambridge owned millions of dollars worth of investments and an enviable mansion on the beachfront. He was the father of 3 well-educated children who all worked in his companies, and the husband of a woman who loved him. Hundreds of friends, relatives, and admirers looked to him for inspiration and guidance. Perplexed by the disparity between his observations of Mr. Cambridge's life and the gentleman's desire to die, Winston asked, "But, sir, why do you want to die?" Little did Winston know that the answer to this question would change his life forever. It may change yours as well. As tears flooded his aged eyes, the old man buried his face in his hands and lamented. What was it all for? Is this all there is? What did I gain? I have everything and yet nothing. Everyone thinks I'm a success, but I'm a failure. I've given everything and received nothing. I made my parents happy and proud of me, and my wife has everything she could desire. My children want for nothing, and my reputation among my friends, associates, and enemies is impressive. Still, I'm empty, depressed, frustrated, and sad. My life has no meaning. Unlike my bank accounts, which are well filled, I'm unfulfilled. Everyone knows what I am, but I still don't know why I am. For years, I've been so driven by the expectations of others that have not discovered my personal reason for being. I do not wish to live with such emptiness. Today, I decided it was better to be dead than to be alive and not know why. These words pierced the younger man's soul. As he attempted to regain his composure, the old man took his hand, looked into his eyes with a soul-searching gaze, and said, "Son, do not strive to be like me. Find out who you are and be yourself." As the medics carried the old man away and the sound of the ambulance faded in the distance, young Winston stood, staring out to sea. He was not really aware of his surroundings, for the old man's words had stirred him deeply. "Who am I? What does it mean to be myself?" echoed in his brain. Without purpose, life has no meaning. These questions, who am I? Why am I here? Where did I come from? What was I born to do? What can I do? Where do I fit? Why am I different? What is my potential? Where am I going? Why did I come to this planet? Are universal questions that haunt every human being. Each of us must find the answers to these questions of purpose if we are going to enjoy a meaningful, effective, fulfilling life. Purpose is the key to life. Without purpose, life has no meaning. There are millions today just like Mr. Cambridge. They're busy making a living, but they experience very little of life. If your goal in life is to be wealthy so you can retire, you have embarked on a depressing journey to nowhere. If your vision for life is measured by status, your upkeep will be your downfall. Vision is buried in purpose. Without knowledge of purpose, life becomes an endless string of activities with little or no significance. Like a rider on a rocking horse, life without purpose makes much motion but no progress. A world without purpose. A lack of purpose and the impending tragedy that results from its absence are found not only in people, but in all things. When elements of nature lose their purpose, chaos and destruction are the results. When nations, societies, communities, organizations, friendships, marriages, clubs, churches, countries, or tribes lose their sense of purpose and significance, then confusion, frustration, discouragement, disillusionment, and corporate suicide, whether gradual or instant, reign. Purpose is the master of motivation and the mother of commitment. It is the source of enthusiasm and the womb of perseverance. Purpose gives birth to hope and instills the passion to act. It is the common denominator that gives every creature an element of distinction. This guiding sense of purpose is more than an orientation toward a goal. Rather, it is a deep awareness that a common vision encompasses all life and existence. Without this vision, we can only exist. We feel no passion for living, neither do we have a reason to wake up in the morning. Purpose gives birth to hope and instills the passion to act. Thousands of years ago, a king known as the wisest man who ever lived stated, "Meaningless, meaningless, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless." Ecclesiastes 1:2. This was his conclusion after years of observing man's life, activities, plans, and achievements, apart from a sense of personal and corporate purpose. These words and their sad echo have returned to haunt us nearly 6,000 years later. We face a world that acts like a spaceship that has lost its flight plan. Planet Earth is like a mother whose children have lost all sense of direction and all value in life. Globally speaking, everything is in motion. Mergers and acquisitions, deregulations and changing agencies of control, information technologies and international competition all alter the shape and thrust of our economies and the way we do business. Changing demographics, realigned industry structures, new strategic alliances, innovative technologies, unaccustomed modes of working, and the volatility of stock markets demand a fresh approach to commerce. Increasing competition, the shrinking of the world into one large global village, the move toward freer markets in former communist countries, and the reality of the European common market alter the way we deal with the world, and it deals with us. Many industrialized nations are being transformed into third world states as numerous people migrate from the undeveloped nations. Long established ideologies are evaporating in the fires of revolutionary changes. Institutions long held sacred are crumbling under the weight of social pressure. In almost every nation, the situation is the same. There's a political confusion, ideological frustration, social unrest, economic uncertainty, moral bankruptcy, institutionalized corruption, and disillusionment with religion. All inhabit an environment of fragile diplomacy. The world has become an incubator of stress, depression, hopelessness, and fear. It seems that the kingdoms and the governments of this world are bankrupt. They no longer offer innovative solutions for these ever-increasing problems. Industrialized nations are as fragile as third world nations. The tremendous changes in national and international situations and the economic, political, social, and cultural transitions that have accompanied these changes now present a totally different global equation. There's also a generation in every nation that seems to have lost its sense of purpose. They are out of touch with the values, morals, and convictions that build strong families, secure communities, healthy societies, and prosperous nations. Thus, the moral fabric of most societies is being stretched and tested to its outer limits. In every nation, the concern is the same. Many of the time-weathered institutions of the industrial states are being tried by challenges that threaten to transform tradition and demand creative and innovative responses. The value of life decreases and the quality of existence diminishes when a generation loses its sense of destiny and purpose. The dynamic nature of the third world and the developing countries, because of the infancy of their institutions and their industrial base, are even more hard-pressed to respond effectively to this changing global environment. Political, civic, economic, and religious world leaders are perplexed as they see their social infrastructure cracking under the weight of these demands of the new, complex society. A strange sense of insecurity, confusion, and aimlessness accompanies these modifications. History shows that the value of life decreases and the quality of existence diminishes when a generation loses its sense of destiny and purpose. A quick glance at our current world exposes a sad picture that demands our attention. We preserve nature, for example, but kill babies. We build solid houses but cannot construct lasting homes. We are smarter but not wiser, bigger but not stronger. We know more but understand less, and we live longer but enjoy life less fully. We write more books but fail to take the time to read them. We go faster but get nowhere, conquer space but cannot conquer our habits, protect whales but abuse our children, go to the moon but wander far from home, and flirt with fantasy to avoid reality. The United States of America, the greatest nation in recent history, has come to a crossroads because of a lack of national purpose. Warren Bennis, Distinguished Professor of Business Administration at the University of Southern California, stated in his book on becoming a leader, America lost its edge because it lost its way. We forgot what we were here for. We talked about freedom and democracy, but we practiced license and anarchy. As a nation cannot survive without public virtue, it can't progress without a common vision. America hasn't had a national sense of purpose since the 1960s, when, in an unprecedented show of common cause, millions of Americans vehemently opposed government policies. Professor Bennis's words echo an ancient saying written by King Solomon: "Where there is no revelation, vision, people cast off restraint." Proverbs 29:18. With the demise of communism in Eastern Europe, the last source of national purpose for America has evaporated. The red thread of the bear in the Cold War no longer provide the common cause for national commitment that every nation needs. King Solomon's words contain principles that every living thing should heed. Where there is no purpose, there is no self-control, no moral conviction, and no ethical boundaries. This principle is increasingly evident in both our personal and corporate lives. America spends more money annually on drugs than on oil. The land of the free and the home of the brave has become the world's #1 addict. Where there is no purpose, there is no self-control, no moral conviction, and no ethical boundaries. Professor Bennis further contends that the moment we decided we could create our own reality, we had no use for dreams, forgetting that a dreamless sleep is death. The famous television producer and writer Norman Lear, when commenting on the disillusionment in America, said, "The societal disease of our time is short-term thinking. In essence, we have lost our long-term vision and our sense of destiny. Where there is no purpose, no internal reason for living, no significance in life, the demand for discipline, commitment, self-control, and respect for authority will gradually diminish until we, like Mr. Cambridge, will sit among our lifelong accomplishments and cry with regret, 'Is this all there is?'" In more than 25 years of working with people in businesses, universities, governments, churches, schools, marriages, and families, I've met countless individuals who have achieved an incredible degree of success but have found themselves struggling with an inner hunger that revealed a deep need for personal fulfillment and a yearning for individual significance. This feeling of emptiness and internal failure, even after a significant measure of material and social success, is a direct result of the failure to discover purpose in life and a reason for being born. Until this direction is discovered, life remains an experiment that is based on assumptions and hypotheses. You must realize that your fulfillment in life is dependent on your becoming and doing what you were born to be and do. Anything less makes life your enemy and death your friend. It is essential, vital, crucial, and necessary that you understand this fundamental principle of purpose and pursue it with all your heart. For without purpose, life has no heart. Remember, those who don't know where they are going will probably end up someplace else. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. 1 Corinthians 9:26. This is the end of the introduction. Please tune in for Chapter 1, Understanding Purpose, in the next recording.